Hello students, welcome back to the channel. This is your SQL problem number 30. So your question says that we have to calculate the percentage change in sales compared to the previous month of each product. Okay. So we have some product IDs and on the basis of that we have to calculate the percentage change in the sales. So we have given the previous month's value, some value, and we have the current month some value. Okay, and on the basis of that, we will calculate. So I think everybody knows how we calculate the percentage. So we will take the current minus previous, divide it by the previous value and multiply by the 100 to calculate the percentage. So formula is we will take the current value, then we subtract the previous value, divide by the previous value, then we multiply it by 100 to get the percentage. Okay? So this is the basic mathematics. Now, if we look at that table, we have the sales ID, we have product ID, we have sales date and amount of the product. Right? You can clearly see that. So let's try to understand the query. Okay. So in this query, like you can clearly see, if we want to calculate the percentage, I want current value, then I will subtract it by the minus value, previous value, sorry. Again, I will divide it by the previous value and I will multiply it by 100. Right? So we have to calculate first value, then the second value. So we need two values from the same table. Okay. Yes. So here, firstly, we will create one more table. Basically, one table. So that says we have to select the product ID and do it in the format of the month. Then we will calculate the total sales and we will group it by the product ID and the sales month. Okay. So we have to group it by the product month, product ID and the sales month. Okay. So here we have the table. Firstly, I have to group okay on the basis of the let's take the so I have ID 101. Okay. Then these two are the same month. Okay. So we will considering because we are changing the format. So I'm considering this 01 to 01. Okay. Month should be same. Then I am taking the total. So total of this is 800. Right. So we are taking the product ID. Our first step is to create our own table for our sales. Then we're taking the date, sale date, and then we have the amount. Basically the total amount in particular month. Then again we have 101 and here we have only 101 and you can take under the month two, February we have only one value. So I will write 2025, 02 and 112 and I will write the 1000 only. Then again 101, right? And the value is 2025, 03 and 08 and that is 1200, right? Then we have 102. For 102, under the month, we have only individual value. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Yes, we have the individual value. So I will write 25, 0, 1 and 0, 1. So here basically we have to convert into the 0, 1, sorry, like this. Okay. So for, we have the 400. Similarly, for 102, we have for the month February, we have value 600. Then we have value 300. Okay. So next all are the individual values, right? So we have then for month third, 03 and 01. We get this value. And now we have the next ID. So next ID is 3 and these two also have the different months. So I will like 103, 103 and it belongs to 02, 01 and again it belongs to 03, 01. Okay. So here we have the 700 and 105. Okay. So this is your first step. You will create the table where you are calculating the total amount. Okay. Total amount of that product and in the that product in a single month. Okay. For example, for the February, if I'm taking for the February, so how many entities are present for the February? So I have to take the total amount. I will calculate, add all the values, all the sales amount for that month. Okay. So first step, what we did here, first we have changed the format. That is coming, we are making it to 01 for better calculation basically. And here we are calculating the sum of all the values, the sum of the total values that is present in particular month for the particular product. But it, so this part is almost done. But it says we have to we have to extract the product ID. Then I am taking the uh, date format. Date format is I have changed into the my date will change to 01. Okay. Then I have to calculate sum. So we can clearly see we have the three columns. First is the product ID, sales, and third, so we can write it as the total sales. So it is the total sales. So we will write it as total sales. Got it? Yes. Then instead we have to group it by using the product ID and the sales. So we have grouped on the basis of ID and the sales. Okay. Till now, I think so you will get it. First, we are calculating the total of all the values for the particular month. Okay. Therefore, we are using that. Okay. Therefore, we are creating a table, separate table for this. Got it? Next step is we want two values. Right? We want to that is the previous value and the first value. So here this is your final query that you can clearly see it says. We have to select the product ID, sales one, and the total sales. Okay. So we have to firstly we will already take that. I have to take same page. So how I will calculate the percentage? Then total sales, and I will multiply lag value over the partition by the similar product ID and order by the sales. Then I will multiply it by the 100. Then lag value, I will take the lag value and condition remain same on the basis of the product ID only. And then order by the sales. Okay. So let's see by one by one ID. So your next query says you have to select the product ID. So I'm taking the product ID, then sale month, then the total sales. Okay. Okay. So I am taking this for the first value 101, 202501 and 01 and total sale is 800. Right? We got it. Next step is we are calculating the percentage. Right? We are calculating the percentage. That says we have to take the total sale. Total sale is 800. Then I have to subtract the previous value. So you can see there is no previous value for that. So I will subtract 0 or in computer we write as a null. Okay. And I have to partition by the product ID. So I have the product ID on the basis of product ID. I have make this partition. Right. This you have to do the null value. So I just write the null. Then I will multiply it by 100. As that query says, I have to multiply it by 100. Then I have to divide by what value? The previous value. Okay. So the previous value is null. So we can clearly see we are not able to calculate the percentage here. So I will just write the null here. So I will get the null value because we have the null value. So I'm not getting any answer. For that I will get the null percentage. Okay. Let's do for the next. And we have the we will only calculate for the 101. Rest I will show you in the MySQL benchmark. Okay. Then we have the for product it is for 101 and we are moving to next month that is February 02 and 01. Okay. So here the total sales till now is 1000 only, right? And your first step is you have to take the total sales. Okay, so total sale is 1000. I will subtract it by the previous value. Previous value is 800, right? Then what I do, I will multiply it by 100. Then I will divide it by the previous value. Okay. Now, if I want to calculate, if I use the calculator, then I will get the results. I'm getting the answer that is equal to 25%. Okay. Similarly, if I want to calculate for the next value, I will calculate like this. I will write 2025, 03 and 01. Total sales of 101 is 11200. Okay. Then now what I will do, I will take the current value. Then I will subtract the previous value that is lag value. Again, the 1000, sorry. Then I will multiply it by 1000, sorry, 100 for calculating the percentage. Then I will divide it by the previous value. The previous value is the 1000 again. Okay, if I now I will calculate the answer, I will get some percentage here. So when you get something in null value, because we do not have the previous value, we will put the null. First point you need to remember that. Okay. And for the null values, if we have the null values, we are not able to calculate the percentage. Therefore, do not write 0 as answer. Just put the null value if we are not getting any answer. Got it? So let's completely understand it. First step is you are creating a table. You are creating a table from one table because you wanted to calculate the total sum of the uh, sales for the particular month and the particular ID. So what we did here, we have calculated the total values by dividing it into, or we can say by grouping it on the basis of the product ID and the sales date. Got it? From that, just how we calculate the percentage in mathematics, we require two values. So we have extract the similar way in extract the these two value, current value and the previous value in the similar way. So for first value, what I did, I take the current value, that is my total sales, when I subtract it by my lag value. Lag value is the previous value. So I take the previous value and I multiply it by the figure. Then I want to divide it. So I divide it on the basis of what? I will divide it by the previous value. Okay. And for that, it's important that you mention that I want to partition it by the product ID only. Okay. So I have to partition it by the product ID, and you have to order it in the on the basis of the first one. In this table, it is already ordered by it. If real world and the real data set, it is not ordered by. So your first step is you have to order by your answer while calculating the percentage. Got it? So your first step is you have made a table that has the total amount of values that calculate the total value. From that, you are taking the two values, current value and the previous value. Your current value is your total sales. Previous value is the previous sales that previous total value basically. On the basis of that, we are calculating the percent. Okay, it's very easy. If you're still facing any doubt, just comment it down. Okay, let's see the output on the my. Okay. Now your first step is you have to make the sales table. So I have already created a sales table here. For that, I have added the sales ID, product ID, sale date, and the amount. Right? So you can clearly see that. Then I have insert some of the values into this, and then I want to make you see how actually our table is moving. Therefore, I have write a command using that is select star from the sales. That means we are representing or showing the complete table. So you can see the complete table here. We have this 8 sales ID, product ID, sale date, and some amount mentioned here. Okay. The next step is to calculate the percentage. Okay. So you know for every single value, as a first value, we are not able to get the percentage because we do not have the first value. So here you can see for the first 101 ID, we are getting the null as a percentage. Similarly, for 102, for the first value, we are getting the null as a percentage. Get it? And then it's easy. What we have done, we have taken the total value, then I subtract it from my previous value, and then divide by the previous value, and multiply it by the 100. We are getting the percentage. Got it? It's quite easy. If you're still facing any issue, uh, feel free to comment it down. Okay. To like it, share, and subscribe for more videos. Stay tuned.